Let's keep going with our measures of central tendency, learning median and mode. If you have not already learned mean, you certainly could go back and learn it, or you can learn it next. They're really independent of each other, although it is the third measure of central tendency. There's 3 of them. Median and mode are relatively simple, so I like to put them together into the same video. Okay, as always, this is our data set. And whenever we have a set of data, you need to put them in order. For median, this is mandatory. For mode, you can simply look and see which number is listed the most, but I would still recommend putting it in order because it's much easier to see which number is listed the most once they're in order. Less chance for making a mistake. So as always, I still recommend the first thing you always do with a data set is to go ahead and put it in order. To do that, we like to look and see what is the smallest number in the list. We're going to cross off the 2. 3 is next. There's 3 4s, 1, 2, 3. Now, if you did this in the other video, you may already have this written on your paper. You don't need to write it again. Here's a 7, an 8, 3 9s, and a 10. Okay, so here's how I keep these two separate from each other. The median uses the letter M and the letter D. The word middle also uses those letters. So it has an M and a D, just like this, an M and a D. The word mode also has a D, but it's very close to the word most. So mode, most, median, middle. That's how I remember it. Hopefully that can help you remember it too. So for the mode, which is the number that is listed the most, we can look and see that we actually have 2 different numbers that are listed the most. We have 3 4s, and we also have 3 9s. And the cool thing is, you don't have to choose. The mode is actually 4 and 9. You can have 2 modes. The median is the middle. And so in order to find the middle, we need to start counting from the outside. So this is 1, this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the number that doesn't have a partner from the outside is the number 7. And so our median, or the middle of a data set, is the number 7. So this is a relatively easy data set to find both of these, with the unique thing that happens just every once in a while in that you can actually find 2 different modes. Let's do another data set. And here we go. Okay, so as always, we are almost always going to be given data that is out of order, and we need to put it in order. So if we look, the smallest number in this list is 12, and I see 2 of them. So we are going to list them twice. The next number is 13. I don't see a 14, so 15 is next. Then 16, 17, 18, and 19. Now, I'm going to first figure out which one is the mode. That's the easy one. Which one is listed the most? And you can see there's 2 12s, and so my mode is simply 12. Super easy. The middle gets a little bit harder with this data set. Let me move this data set just over a little so that we can work with it like this. And you'll see if I start to count from the outside, here's 1, 2, 3, and then I get stuck. I have two numbers that are in the middle. Now these two numbers, 15 and 16, are the middle, but we're going to look at the number that's exactly halfway. It isn't a data set, so 15.5, which is halfway, is not one of our pieces of data, but it is indeed going to be our median. Now, if you're a little bit confused about how I found that, let me show you. The simple way to do it, since this is only one number away, is to know that halfway between 15 and 16 is the 0.5. We know that this is going to be halfway between any two numbers, and 15.5 works. If you don't quite know how to do that, or you have numbers that you're really struggling, like let's say you have some decimals like 17.3 and 19.1. It takes a very long time to sort of like count and find the halfway point between these two. And so the best method then is to actually use your average, which is your mean, but only on these two data sets. So you're going to add them together. That becomes your total, 31. And since there are two numbers you're finding the average of, we're going to divide this in half. And that ends up being 15.5. So this is something that can be done with long division, or it can be done with a calculator. Let's draw our little cheesy calculator here. So our median ends up being 15.5 and our mode is 12. These are very different from each other, so just take a mental note on that. Let's go ahead and do a third set of data. Here we go. For this data set, I chose slightly bigger numbers, but we're still going to do exactly the same thing with the data set. It's all in the 90s, and so we're going to write 92 as the first number we see. 93 and 94 are next. I have 95, 95, and 95. So I already have my suspicions that 95 is going to be my mode. Then I have a 98 and a 99. So sure enough, as I'm looking at these, you can clearly see that 95 is the number that is listed the most, and so therefore is my mode. You might also be able to see that when I'm counting to try and find the middle, I am going to encounter the same problem I did last time. I have two numbers that are exactly in the middle. A lot of my students get confused at this point. They're both 95. So how do you find the middle between two numbers that are exactly the same? And actually, it's even easier. You don't need a formula or anything. Since they're exactly the same, it's also 95. So 95 becomes both my median and my mode. Make sure to check out when I talk about mean, median, mode, and range all in the same video to review these concepts in order.